Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome back to another Skyrim Creation Kit tutorial video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you my brand new advanced unique displays script, which is similar to one that I did many years back, but it's far better, more flexible, offers more functionality and just overall is a lot easier to use. So very similar to what I just did to my trophy video, I'm doing here as well. So let's jump in. And here we are in game, so I can show you first of all how this works, then we'll jump into the creation kit and I will go through the specifics. So I have a display case over here and I have a number of items just in the chest next to me that I would like to have appear in the display case whenever I put them into the container. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and grab these items from here. And what I'm using are the 6 different versions of Chillren. So one of the things that this will do is it will be able to take into account having multiple versions of a particular object, in this case a sword, and still show the reference for it in the actual display. And we've also got Dawnbreaker and Spellbreaker. So another thing that you can do here that the old script did not support is you can actually mix and match objects and you can have all sorts of stuff. So you can have weapons, you can have shields, you can have whatever. So I'm just going to take those items and then I'm going to go to the display case, search display case, and I'm going to place one of the Chillrens in. And when I do so, you can see it appears, and if I take it out, it disappears. So I'm going to do a different Chillren and it appears. I can put in Dawnbreaker and I can also put in Spellbreaker. And they all appear in the display case. Remove them all, they all disappear. Simple as that. Before we dive straight into things, I am going to say that this does require SKSE if you want to use the functionality of having different types of objects in a single display case. If you are going to be uploading this to the Xbox or PlayStation platform, unfortunately that does mean that you will be restricted to a single item type for a singular display case, and you would have to have different display cases for different types of items such as armors or weapons and so on and so forth. When we take a look at the script at the very end, it'll make a little bit more sense, and as we go I will highlight what you need to do if you are planning to release this on Xbox or PlayStation to ensure that it functions correctly. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create a container for our display. So under World Objects and Container, I'm going to right click and New. And then I'm going to give this a name of Test Display Container. I'm going to call it Display Case. I'm going to hit Edit on the model, Edit again, and then I'm going to navigate to my Meshes folder. In this case, I'm going to use DF, Furniture, Displays, and I'm going to go for Display 1. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't have to be something from my resource. It can be anything in the game. You might even want to just display these on a wall and have a trigger box to activate the container. It's entirely up to you how you want to play this. I'm going to click OK, and then OK again, and then I'm just going to click OK again. Now I'm going to click on Show Only Active Forms, double click on my container to reopen it. And now I can add a script. I'm going to click Add. Give that a moment. And then I'm going to type in Display. So you're going to need to make sure you have my DF Unique Display script from my Dark's resources. Double click on that. And you have 2 options. You can either make a custom version of the script if you so wish, especially if you wanted to iterate upon this, or you can just use my script and it's not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and use my script. I'm going to ignore the properties for now and click OK. Next thing you're going to need is a form list. So I'm going to go under Miscellaneous and Form List, right click New, give this a name as well. And I'm going to call it Test List Master because this is going to be a master list of all the potential objects that can be displayed in this particular display case. Now on the left hand side, before I click OK with this, I'm going to navigate to all the weapons that I want. So I'm going to copy what I did at the start of the video just for making this a lot easier. I'm going to go under Items, Weapons, clear the Show Only Active Forms, and I'm going to go ahead and find Dawnbreaker. I'm going to drag that in. Then I'm going to find all the versions of Chillren. It doesn't matter what order these are in this form list, but order is certainly going to matter when it comes to the scripting part shortly. So this can be random, but the scripting part you'll need to pay a lot more close attention to. Now I'm just going to add the armor for Spellbreaker. And click OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and place my container into the world. So I'm just going to clear the filter, do show active forms again, drag and drop this in, and just position this how I want it. And it's time to place the static versions of these items in the game. So I'm going to go under World Objects, Static, and thankfully all of these already have static versions of the meshes. So I can drag and drop them in. However, if you are putting an item in here that doesn't have a static version, I will show you in a moment what you can do and how you can prevent them from falling over if they're experiencing that in here as well. So I'm just looking for Spellbreaker. Put this in as well, does not have to be perfect for this. And finally, we are looking for Chillrend. So just going to put that in there too. So I'm just trying to get the snap to grid to align it about right. There we go. And then the next thing I want to do is double click on each of these and initially disable them so that they're not there by default. Also, what I want to do is give them all a name, because when you are dealing with a lot of references, it's easier if they have names to check that you're clicking on the correct things. So just do this one as well. Cool. And like I say, if you've got something here where actually there's not a static object of it, there's only sort of the full Havoc version of it, the weapon or the armor or whatever it might be, then you could go to that particular weapon. Let's use Chillrend as an example. Under here, it's the Art and Sound tab. You'll need to locate the model. It'll be different depending on the object. Copy the whole model. Go under World Objects, Static, right-click New, give it a name. I won't bother here because I'm not going to actually create this. I don't need it. But you'll need to do the model again. Click Edit, Edit again. Go to Meshes, paste the model name in. Make sure the file path is correct. Click Open. OK. And then what you could do is go and drag and drop that into the world. However, what may also then happen is, although the game thinks it's static and it's not going to try and move it, it might naturally fall if it's got Havoc. So if that's the case and you've got something that keeps falling out the display case because it's sort of a fake static, if you will, double click on it, tick Don't Havoc Settle. If that doesn't work, click on Scripts, click Add, type in Havoc into the filter and add the default Disable Havoc on load, and it will make sure it does not move when the game loads. So the final thing that we need to do is double click on our container, click Edit Base, open up the unique display properties, drag this down here just so when I click on the render window I can still get to it. And you'll see here there are a bunch of properties. It can look a little bit daunting, but it's really not that difficult. And the first thing we need to do is go down and fill in our master list property. So this is that form list we made, so it knows all of the objects that should be listed out for. The next thing you can do is you can restrict items. So if you want this to only accept specific items, leave it as is, and it will throw back anything that it's not expecting. Otherwise, if you want it to accept all items and then just display the ones it can, click Edit Value and leave it blank. Now, I mentioned SKSE. If you hover over this, it gives you a really good tooltip that will tell you the armors, the books, the ingredients, the misc objects, and the weapons, all the types of items supported. It will give the IDs for these. Essentially, what you need to do is decide on what this display is going to handle, which one of those it's going to handle, and then you would need to set the number. This is only if you are not planning on using SKSE, and it is usually in the case, as I say, with Xbox or PlayStation uploads that will not support SKSE. So what you would need to do, if you're on that boat, is edit the value and then set it to what you want. So for armor, it will be 26. And then any armors that you put here, it will show them and remove them as they're added to the container. Or if you needed something different, put it in there. So 32 or 41 for weapons, you would have to just set it manually, because there is a function for SKSE that does this dynamically, which allows the usual system to account for almost anything. But as I say, if you're using SKSE, you do not need to do anything with this. Leave it alone. If you're only planning to upload on PC, you don't need to mess with that option. So the next thing that you can do is you can click on the error message. There is a default error message here. which essentially says restricted item / items removed. You can change that if you really wish. You click on edit the value. You did a bad thing. You could have it say literally whatever you want, but if you leave it as default, it's relatively clean and tidy. It's just an optional. Now the final thing we need to do is put in our accepted armors, which are the items themselves, and then we need to match that up with our armor refs, which are the references in the world that it needs to enable once it detects them. And earlier on I mentioned making sure that the indexes match. It's a very key thing here. These have to be 1-to-1. So if you click on accepted armors first, edit it, click add, and then we go to pick object, and we add in Spellbreaker. You'll note that Spellbreaker is given the index 0. That needs to match up with whatever we now put in the armor refs. So this is going to be its twin essentially. Click add, and for the reference, select Spellbreaker. And as long as these match up, it should work like a charm. Now we're going to do the same for the weapons. Edit value. I'm going to do Dawnbreaker first. And then I'm going to click add again. If it puts this at the top, then just use the move up and down options to get it to where you need it to be, so it matches up. And now I'm going to put not just one chill rend in, but because we have multiple types of chill rend, I'm actually going to put all the variations of chill rend in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, now we're adding 4, 5, and then finally 6. And again, you need to make these IDs match up. So if you hadn't guessed already, go into weapon refs, click edit, add Dawnbreaker first, because that's 0, and then add again, pick reference, chill rend, but because there are multiple versions of it, we need to duplicate it for as many times as we have chill rends. So it was all the way to 6, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all the same reference, but it will match them up with what we've got in, where's it gone? Accepted weapons. If you mismatch them, you're going to experience issues. If you follow it by the book, you should be absolutely fine. And again, you can go ahead and put other stuff in here. So if you threw books into that display case and certain ingredients or miscellaneous objects, quest objects that you've collected and stuff like that, then you can throw these in here as well, match them all up, and you're good to go. So you can really go wild. The only real limitation here is that arrays, I believe it's either 128 or something like 254, 55 items is the maximum limit, but I highly doubt anyone's going to display that many items. So really, it works like a charm. Click OK. OK again, and save. Oh, click OK on that. Try again, save. Now we're going to dive in game, and we're going to see that working. Okay, something quite funny that I realised after we had created this. If you walk up to it, because I'm in the middle of Dragon's Reach and I didn't set ownership for it, this is technically classed as stealing, so hopefully nobody will see me. But if we just open this display case and we dump in Chill Rend, Dawnbreaker, Spellbreaker, as you can see, it works like a charm. And then I can take all these away and they disappear. Perfect. So for those of you interested in how the script works, and especially to explain the SKSE function and why you need to use the single type option in the script, hang around and I'm going to describe that here. If you're happy with everything, you get how it works, you don't particularly care, or you want to look through it yourself, you can kind of jump off the video here. But for those of you interested, I'm going to try and go through this and give you a base level overview of exactly what it does and why, and hopefully you can learn from that or even iterate upon it for your own work. So we've got all of our properties at the top. Super simple. We've gone through those already. We don't need to recover them. If we go down, we have our event on item added and on item removed. Self-explanatory. When something's added, what does it do? When something's removed, what does it do? So it's going to go and enable, or it's going to go and disable items that are being displayed. So when an item is added, the first thing that it does here is it says, is this in my master list? If it is not, it will say, are we restricting items? If we are, it's going to throw it back and it's going to display an error message. And what you can do, if you leave the error message blank, so if you edit it and put no text in, it will not show an error at all. So if you don't want an error message to show, you can do that too. Otherwise, if it says, yes, I know what this is something that I need to display in the display case, then it will call the function display item. Now, before we go to the display item function, we're just going to take a look at removed, and this does a very similar thing. It basically goes, is it in my list? If it is, disable it. Far less checks needed there. Now, when it comes to display item, it's got two states, to either enable something or to disable something. So what it does first is it states an index, an integer that is going to be called type index. This allows the whole script to know what type of object are we dealing with, so it knows which array it needs to go and dive into and which set of references it needs to look at. And the first thing it does is it does a check for SKSE. So like I said earlier, if you are planning on not using SKSE for things like console, what you will need to do is set single type to a specified number, a specific number. So whether it's armor you want to use, book, so on and so forth, and you'll have to put that number in here. And those are all in the tooltips, and they're also in this script here, as you can see. So it'll say, if you're not using SKSE, it will set the type index to whatever you tell it. So it's a manual process there. Otherwise, if you are using SKSE, it will use the full functionality of the script, and it will go, right, type index is going to be whatever the base item's type is. And I'll show you that in a moment. So it'll go through, use this SKSE function, it'll get the type, and it'll spit out, 26 or 30 or whatever. Then what it does is it proceeds to check what that type index is. So here it'll go, if it's armor, do this. If it's a book, do this. If it's an ingredient, do this. And what it will do is essentially run a function called find armor. So now it knows that it is armor. It doesn't know which armor it is that's in the list. So if we just scroll down, we have a number of functions called find armor, find book, and so on and so forth. And it runs through with a while loop, very simple, just runs through the array for accepted armors and goes, let's find out which one matches my base item. And when I've got it, that's the number I need to use. And it feeds that back. So if we go back up, it feeds that back and it goes, that is now my item ID. And it basically goes, as long as I found an item, as long as it's not -1, which is what it will return if it can't find anything, that likely won't happen if you've set everything up correctly. It will essentially go, do I need to enable it or do I need to disable it based on the bool stated in the function at the top here. If it's enable, it will go, right, I need to go to my armor refs, grab the specific item ID and enable it. And then it will do disable if that's what it needs to do. And it does have a trace debug, so that will show in your papyrus logs if anything does seem to go wrong there. And it will do the same for book, ingredient, misc object, weapons. That's all it does. So at a very basic level, it essentially figures out what the type of item is, or you tell it what type of item is, and then it will search for that in the relevant list, and then it will enable or disable the relevant references. That's literally all it does. And it seems quite complex, but there's actually just a lot of repetitive stuff here with if statements and while loops. If you were to just take one of these item types, it would be massively cut down. It would be a lot simpler to kind of visualize. But that is really the script at its core. So hopefully that's useful. And that is just about it for another Skyrim Creation Kit tutorial video. So I hope you found it useful. Please let me know in the comments section below. As always, hit that like, subscribe button and bell notification if you haven't already to catch all of the things and do all of the things and whatnots. Otherwise, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.